Guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is from our scrap bin. Now, my bin is more like divided folders here, and I also keep my specialty papers, like my tonic specialty papers here. So I'm using my lovely leftovers for my How to Kill a Kit with Style this month, so I figured I would pull out actual scraps from my bin. I'm scrapbooking these two photos. This is a picture of my son waiting for us to pick him up at the airport. And then this is just a weird random photo that happened of his bags. So I am going to include that just because. I was a crying, blubbering mess, and that's the photo that was taken. So I'm going to use these two photos, and I'm just going to flip through my scraps. So this is definitely patriotic, so that's going there. And I say patriotic because this is my son at home from leave. He is a United States Marine. So I'm just going to flip through and see what I can see. I don't have a heck of a lot of scraps, you guys. Okay, let's probably not feeling the green. But maybe some blue. Yeah, that's a scrap. Maybe we'll use something of that. We can cut it apart. And since I think I'll be using this top portion right here, I think I will go back and grab this yellow because there is a very slight little bit of yellow in there. Man, I gotta get more scraps. That's cream. That's cream. That's just white, so let's not do that one. And then maybe the ampersands. And we'll do a little gold. Do a little gold in there and see what we can see. Probably not going to bring in any of these black and white ones or these multicolored really bright ones. And then that's some florals I was fussy cutting. So that's it. That's all the scraps I have. So those are the ones I'm going to use. I'm also going to grab a full sheet of paper. So let's see what I can do. All right, so I am going to start out with this cream textured cardstock. And I'm not exactly sure what color it is. It's from American Crafts, and I don't end up using it on the layout. I decide to go with something a little bit different. So I'm looking at this, and it's feeling very kind of light and bright. And it might seem weird, but I wasn't going for light and bright on this layout. And that does seem weird because, you know, I should be a bubbly goodness of happiness because, you know, we were picking up Alex from the airport, but it, for some reason, just not the kind of feel I was going for. I like the khaki background a little bit more. So I am going to trim down the photos, and I made the decision to trim down the photo where it kind of trims off my husband's hand instead of Alex's body. And that is obviously because this is a layout about Alex. Now, I do this layout in kind of a red, white, and blue theme. And in his military albums, this is what the theme is throughout the album. It's very red, white, and blue. So I'm not sure if this is going to go in his album, or if this is going to go in the family album, and I'll make that decision once I am finalizing the family albums. So we'll just make that decision then. So I am going to trim down the branding strips off of the photos, and they go in the bin. And this striped paper is not long enough for my purposes, so I rip it in half, and I'm going to go ahead and spread it across the layout. Now, this photo needs to be popped up on some fun foam. So I am using a new sheet and also a sheet that is just on my desk because I've used it already. So fun foam kind of lives in 3 places on my desk and area. It's kind of weird. So I have it on a shelf off to my right. I have it on my little twirly, whirly, Lazy Susan thing, little pieces. And then it usually ends up sitting like right on the upper right-hand corner of my desk. Not exactly sure why it goes that way, but it does go that way. So I put down the ampersand paper, and this is more reading like a neutral. It's not necessarily about the ampersand, so I'm not calling attention to that whatsoever. The only thing I am doing is using it as the neutral. So I'm going to tuck this piece of paper underneath of the photos, and I am going to have the ampersands go behind it. And that's just because it felt like I was covering up the sky. And that's literally what I was doing, because that is the sky right there, but it just felt wrong. So I'm going to take this gold scrap of paper. I put some up here at the top, just because I want some sparkle up there, because I knew I was going to put this line of sparkle down here at the bottom. Now that little yellow piece, confession time, it's not going back in the scrap bin. It's in the bin. So done with that bad boy. And now I'm trying to look at this, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to put my title, like what the word is going to be, where it's going to go. I'm thinking probably over here to the left-hand side, but I'm also thinking that this upper right corner has a pretty open and free area. And I'm kind of flipping through my letter stickers. I thought I cut that part out, but apparently not. So I have these letter stickers from Carousel, and Carousel, just a gorgeous, gorgeous collection. And I probably should have tossed these, done something with them a long time ago, but I'm like, no, I can figure out something to use. So I decide to spell out the word home, and I'm using a 3 that is backwards and upside down, because I don't have any more E's. But I have the HOM, so I figured this is good enough. Now I'm going to go through my smaller letter stickers and just try to figure out another word that I can use on this page to kind of tie it all together. So I pull out the red ones, and I like these brighter reds a little bit better. And I was going to have finally home, but I decided to do home finally, because I like how the red letter sticker kind of bridges the gap between the sky and the ampersand paper. And plus it gives the word home a little bit more of a substance to sit on top of it, as opposed to just kind of hanging out over top the sky paper, which felt a little bit weird. Like it fit there, but it felt a little bit weird. So while I am going to go ahead and figure out the lettering spaces, please make sure you checked out all the links down below for everyone who is playing in their scrap bins today and making layouts. So my scraps are probably bigger than the average person's scraps, and that is fine and dandy with me, you guys. I am not a fan of little teeny tiny scraps. It actually stresses me out to have those little teeny tiny things floating around my scrapbook room. And even if they're not truly floating around, just them being there, like, stresses me out. It just stresses me out. I can't give you a good reason. I can't give you a structured fact as why, but it does. And so I have eliminated or try to eliminate the things that stress me out about scrapbooking because it is my most favorite hobby. And I just love to scrapbook and I love to share it with people. So, you know, it's gonna be stress-free. Stress-free. Scrap how you want to scrapbook. So my scraps probably bigger than the other lady scraps. But, you know, maybe your scraps are just as big as mine. So I have this little travel tag and it's got an airplane on it and it's just sitting up on this little dish that I have on my desk where just random little bits have accumulated that I'm going to try to use up. Usually what happens is I ignore that little bowl of random bits and then it gets really full, and it's really full right now, and then I use it and bring it back down and then I fill it back up. It's just the way my mind works. Now I go into this little embellishment bin that I've got going on, and I'm just looking around for some things to place on the layout. I decided to go with this kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a flare. It says role model. It's old. I'm pretty sure it's from Little Davis Designs. Does anybody remember that company? And then I pull out this red camera, which I mess around with for way too long, trying to figure out where I want to add it to the page. I felt like I needed to add it to the page to have that pop of red, but I've got the pop of red in the word finally, so I don't know why it's, you know, causing me so much strife. I do glue it down, but it changes, it moves. So I also add this little brown word, which is coordinating to the role model flare, and it says character. And you can read that as either way you want, where he is a man of character, or you could read it as, boy, what a character. Doesn't matter which one, it will work for me. Now I find this little house acrylic, so it's a lighter blue, so I go ahead and place that down, and you can see the adhesive through it. And again, not concerned about it. It's not something that I'm worried about. And look, I'm still trying to get that camera on there, but ultimately I just decide, nope, you don't belong on this page. So I pull off the light acrylic because I found the darker acrylic with the heart inside of it. So I go ahead and place that right on top of the title that says Home Finally. And I'm just looking around for other little bits of things that I can do. Now I figure since they're touching his kind of duffel bags right here, we can go ahead and add this suitcase flare badge. And this is from Scrap and Happy Studio. It's an epoxy flare. And those epoxy flares, if you didn't know, especially the ones from Scrap and Happy Studio, you don't want to use a liquid adhesive. You always want to use a dry adhesive. So that's why I use my ATG with it. Because that's just the way you want it to be. Then, of course, I have to grab my ultimate favorite sequins whatsoever. These are from Brutus Monroe, and they are some sparkly gold ones. And I'm just using my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to kind of put 3 little dots in each of these clusters, because whether or not I was thinking about it, I did make a visual triangle of embellishment. And I'm just putting them down so that they add a little bit more sparkle to each cluster. Not that the gold that I've already got on there isn't sparkly enough, but you know what? Sometimes you want more. More is more sometimes, you guys. So I go ahead and dot those sequins down, and I am just about done with this layout. I'm debating on whether to add journaling here or not, but I'm going to wait until the last minute to figure out which album this one is actually going to go into, because my journaling in the album for Alex, it's his Marines album, is going to be a little bit different than the journaling that I just put on our family pages. So the journaling, it's just a little bit different. I take it a little bit more serious. So I'm taking his Marines albums a little bit more serious than our life albums, I guess. So there it is, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for joining me. Please, again, make sure to check out all the links down below for the ladies playing in their scrap bins. And I will see you again real soon for another video.